Hello, this is OK here, and we are streaming live action from round one of the Crazyhouse World Championship. It is EFLC up against the Bay Area. This is very interesting because those is covered, but that one isn't. And let's just rewind this game. I don't think we'll have time. We have a sack on F7. Yeah, it seems like we were not quick enough with the game one. But the Bay Area took game one. So I'll just play through it quickly, and then we'll catch up with game two. So I'm following from the perspective of EFLC. He has a quick sack on F7, and this is an opening idea. You hit the knight, and then you try and take on E5. And the usual line is knight here, knight takes pawn, and at some point black goes for at E2. Castles instead, okay. So taking the knight and taking here would be the obvious thing to do, but he was afraid of bishop takes f2 ideas. Okay, so this happened next. So he took the knight, develops the queen. He still goes for the fast attack. Hang on, so he does actually have knight at f7 here, which is also an interesting idea. I mean, I think maybe even a good idea. Apparently not. No, just fast development is a good idea. So black fixes his weakness on f7, and white retreats. Interesting. Yeah, I guess he didn't have anything, so he just retreats. And white's got some development problems. How to develop this bishop, and black just pushing that pawn. Okay, so taking is I feel is a mistake because that helps white develop. But okay, I guess the reason he did it is he really wanted that knight to. Okay, so black actually got a good attack here, so it turned out to be worthwhile. Queen here, queen takes pawn, and a pawn to mate. Oh yes, that's very nice. I was thinking queen takes rook, but just takes the pawn is checkmate. So that's very nice. The Bay Area takes game one. So now look, we're in game two. And so probably EFLC might be a slight favourite, but it might also be true the Bay Area is rather underrated at only 2,000. TheBayArea is definitely an experienced Crazyhouse player. He played in the last Crazyhouse World Championship in 2017. So hard to say. What is EFLC's peak rating? I'm not sure. So lots of pressure here, but how to exploit that pressure is the question. So basically, like when you look at a Crazyhouse position, you have to, I guess, consider what are the entry points, and it's quite clear. White wants to put a pawn on f6, say, just get in on f6, but it's going to be hard because g5 is controlled and h6 isn't weak. So white's attack is some way off. And how about black? I guess it's something to do with these light squares, and he's managed to create a weakness. I guess the more obvious move was knight takes, but then the problem was takes here, takes creates a weakness on g2 and on his king. So I don't see the problem with just knight takes, so I'm not. There could be knight h4, but I'm not seeing. A lot of pieces are hanging. There's also f2 is actually a problem actually. Yeah, this is actually a problem because knight here, the king has to go. If the king goes back, you're picking up a rook, and if the king comes forward, this is checkmate. So this is a problem. Oh no, it's not checkmate because the knight covers the square. It's just extremely hairy. That's all. King here, pawn here, knight takes, queen takes, knight, king takes. That would be the kind of line you're looking at. But this way you're picking up a rook, and then putting another rook on. Yeah, and this is you're picking up a queen as well. So a lot of material. Okay, so he's going instead for a pawn. So just a second, what happened here? He went for a pawn, but there's a counterattack. Oh, but knight is a bad idea because this comes. So he's going for knight, knight takes, queen here, here, and the question is where's the finish? And I think something like a knight here and a queen here, something like that. So he just needs a rook on the back rank. Yeah. So knight here will be mating. If the king just moves, you have rook at h1. If the queen takes, you've got a queen and rook in hand. So you go knight takes, king here. Go with the rook. Rook is enough. King here, and then knight here, queen here is mate. And so the king would have to run this way, and then similarly, there's just a queen here is mate or close to mate. Oh no! I like the forced mate, but there was no need for this. So that's disappointing from eflc, not playing with the forced. Oh, he doesn't have another knight in hand. Okay, so in my whole calculation, I was assuming he had a knight in hand. So without a knight in hand, it is a bit more confusing, because you could have gone rook here, king takes, and then it's not clear what your next check is. Something like pawn here, maybe? King takes pawn, pawn here, king here. I'm still sure it's completely fine. I mean, even this is pretty devastating. So he's basically saying there's no time for this, because black has all the pawns he needs for a back rank mate. That's the claim. So yeah. This is quite clearly winning for black. Okay, rook, knight takes, takes again, king takes. You got another pawn. You have a third pawn. Everything is completely winning. Okay, seals off the king. Just going for trying to pick up some material as well in the process. Yeah, this is actually also nice. Yeah, it's also a nice way of finishing it. Okay, so one game all. Things are tied. We're going to see the same thing again. Okay, so takes, pawn here, and again we're seeing that I haven't seen this line of doubling up here. It's interesting. I mean, so white is up a piece, and the black king, or a piece for a pawn, and the black king is not so well, and has lost a piece for a pawn as well. Okay, so material is equal, but the black king is slightly unsafe, but white is also slightly, well, yeah. White also needs to has a queen side that's very badly developed, but he's castled his king. So I guess there's even play on both sides. Pros and cons. So basically, white hasn't developed his queen side, and black hasn't properly developed his king side. Yeah, it is. It is actually a little bit precarious. Like you want to develop this knight, but then this knight comes here. So finding out how to play this accurately is definitely one would have to know the opening. But as we saw in game one, the Bay Area seemed to do quite well. So we have a slightly different approach this game. It's trying to stop this knight coming to g5. So white has a problem with like where to develop his pieces, because the bishop wants to come. Where does the bishop go? So obviously he's going to take with this because it's important he maintains control on this square. And just as I said that, he takes with the other one. Was there anything else he could do? Oh, it was check. Yeah, so he had to take it. Okay. I mean, this is just a disaster for black. The light squares are too weak. No, I think he should have just, yeah, he allows the defense here. He should have just gone straight in with, maybe he wanted to have a knight, maybe he wanted to leave that square free for maybe a future knight. So this king, I guess, has to go here. This king drops back, of course, there's a knight fork, which is uncomfortable. If the king goes here, there are probably other issues, such as the queen coming in, and then checkmate. So, and if the king goes back to here, then there's pawn here and the same kind of ideas, and knight here, check. So we have the kind of completely nuts move from black of all those ideas are bad. Probably giving up the queen was best, given that. And this is just all over. This in fact is a classic mate, both in Crazyhouse and in Bughouse. It's almost like a classic beginner mate. If the sack on f7 works, king h6, knight f7, double check, and so checkmate. And he doesn't get to play it out because black resigned. But this is we're seeing already the Bay Area has got serious opening difficulties as black in that line. It needs to do something about it. So 2-1 to eflc. So this one, maybe here, there's no reason not to back off, but the Bay Area took. I'd say that's my only comment about that. This is coming in nicely to reinforce the bishop. This is b2 is a slight weakness, so he can pick up another bishop if he wants it and put it back on g4. And this bishop is a dangerous piece because it's a potential attacker of the king side. So it's actually a very good piece. So that's why I quite like this move. Whereas this, now it's white who has the initiative, slight initiative. But yeah, this is still quite tense. If white ever gets a knight, if the queen goes here, knight at f6 would be an idea. But now f7 is very well protected. I say don't count the king. So I think black's still doing okay. But yeah, do you take the bishop? I think that knight is a good piece. So it's a question of how to improve the position for white, and he's still hanging this. And this is strong because it's also, yeah, okay. So this looks like trouble. So you take, the point is white is trading queens, but it means that white gets to attack first. You can't, well, you could take with the rook. It does weaken this a little bit, but you could. But the problem is if you take with this rook, at e7 is a problem, forking both your rooks. So it's very uncomfortable. White's got a slight edge here. So the Bay Area trying to level it up 2-2. Ah, so hi there, Sleipnir in the Twitch chat. I like white better. And hi there, Jeremy Durham. Great to see you. Knight at f4 screaming to be played. Knight at f4 for knight at f4 not at b2. Okay, yeah, that's interesting. No, that's absolutely right. So my whole idea of getting a knight at b2 is to grab a bishop, but knight at f4 is even nicer because it undermines the bit. Well, actually, yeah. Actually, it might come to the same because knight takes, bishop takes, whereas here knight takes, bishop takes. But maybe a little bit earlier, knight at f4 was a nice idea. If we just to back up to here instead of here, knight at f4 here maybe, yeah, or here maybe as well. Yes. Okay. So white trying to put pressure on f7. This is, of course, to block the pressure. Now I'm really surprised he didn't go for the queen trade here. Just queen takes, rook takes, pawn here. Really dangerous. So how do we assess this position? I guess black has a lot of material in hand. I mean, both sides have got a lot, but it's a case of who can put that material on with initiative. If white had a knight, that would be dangerous, but he doesn't. So is there a case for sacking or not? Probably not. So I was thinking of ideas of this, knight h3 check, and you can't take because the knight at f3 picking up the queen. But queen takes knight here, slide across, and I'm not sure we have enough compensate. Oh, of course, my goodness, I just completely didn't notice that. I mean, this is with 3 knights in hand. This is absolutely lethal. Knight here check means if the king ever goes to a dark square, he's losing the queen with check. Okay, but he could go to a light square. Okay, he goes by this route. Okay, this is also good. Stopping the king. Okay, this is actually much better. So if king goes back, we have a simple mate. If king goes forwards, we also have surely a simple mate. Bishop here cuts off the king. Knight here. So we've got a bishop for here and a bishop for here, and it's all over. Oh my goodness, I'm being careless. The king can slip this way. Sleipnir says, how about queen sack on g2? Yes, I'm in a situation where my Twitch chat is smarter than I am. Which is great. That's good. This... Okay, I thought it was mate, but how do I stop the king running this way? Oh, really? That's really cool. I mean, going for a really slow approach. I like it. He's just basically cut off all the squares for the king. And none of these knights can be taken next move, so g5 is checkmate. And that's hard to stop, because... So it's the kind of situation where white has to go broke. So Jeremy says mate and 2. Yeah, so where was the mate? If knight here... So the other idea I had was knight here, but then king here. So then... Knight... I don't know why I'm not seeing... Oh, maybe bishop there. But then he could have still run this way. And if this way, then another bishop here would have been surely mating. Okay, I'll look quickly after the game to see what the most efficient mate was. The Bay Area is like how to defend. Real problem. Okay, so pawn takes, then you have a rook in hand. Ah, I can't see the mate with the rook. Oh, but yeah, you have a bishop in hand too, so this is the end of it. They run to d3. Oh, bishop. Yeah, should bishop first. Okay. So that was a nice win by eflc. I mean, if so, I'll just flip the board to look back at from his perspective. So just going in this position here, just quickly, just checking the engine for what was the best way of doing it, f4 or h4, and my engine's a bit slow. So both are decent, and here I think what he did, knight at f6, is just really good. Knight g6, king he's running away is the slight problem. But knight here, and yeah, white just has to go all in and doesn't have anything. So apparently knight takes f7 is nasty, because then after at g5 you have knight takes g5, check. So that's that was the way to go, but it's still, everything's covered, so black is still completely fine. So black still gets mate a few moves later. That was game one, and then this is a live game. Okay, I'm not going to rewind this position because we've seen it already in game one and in game three. Except we have a new move now. This one, which is interesting. This is weakening this one. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So this is just about holding, but this is weak. Maybe this game. No, I was wondering if this game black could get his king safe. But it looks like it's going to be this way. Actually, it's hard. Bishop takes this one. Sorry. Okay, I'll just play from the beginning again. So it's the sack, and this line which I haven't seen before, bishop at b6, and not taking the knight, interestingly. And the knight, so actually slightly different this game, not taking the knight, and the knight fled. Okay, so it was a slightly different game, this game. Do you take the free piece or do you take the pawn? Okay, he goes for the free piece. Makes some sense, I guess. I was tempted by the pawn, but again, black is really suffering in these games. Yeah, bishop at d5, as Jeremy Durham says, is really killing. I mean, even though white hasn't developed his whole queenside, black is just not getting out of the opening. So it's just, I think the main problem is, yeah, material advantage and king safety. So, in terms of material advantage, it is just a piece for a pawn, technically, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, an extra piece for a pawn. It's just that it's just that black is one move away from getting completely overrun. Sleipnir says bishop takes c6 and knight at a5. I think that's okay, knight at a5, but this is even stronger, I think. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So bishop at e3 felt like it was giving black a little bit of a breather, but there were nasty ideas with bishop at e3. So it was takes, and going in, exchanging queens, and black's king is too weak for an exchange of queens. So bishop at e3 wasn't completely stupid. Okay, so we're in crunch time now. Okay, he's happy to give up the rook and keep his threats. So at the end of this position, the thing is, black's counterattack's pretty darn fast. You can't allow pawn takes rook, because pawn takes rook, knight takes, the bishop takes pawn is a huge beautiful move. That's a beautiful move. It saves you a move. Saves you a move because after pawn takes rook, knight takes, you can then attack. I mean, this is a beautiful move because with rook and queen there's no mates. This doesn't exist. So this was a real beautiful move, both checking and defending the key weakness in white's position. So rook and queen are just no good in this position, and he has to defend. And defending is hard, basically. How else to put it? And again, rook there is defending means, but it's not creating any threats. I mean, that's one way of doing it. There were more direct ways, even probably. I was thinking something like rook here, check, bishop, and then you end up with a bishop pointing at f7. That also seems pretty lethal. There might have even been more efficient ways. So eflc really running away with it. I mean, especially as white, it's a punishing position. I was just wondering what's the cleanest finish here. I think the first move is correct, e7, king g8. And I was thinking this, but okay, the cleanest thing is go straight in with this, takes, Okay, takes back seems to be sensible. And if king takes, you have queen and pawn is checkmate, so you have to go... Okay, so you don't... If king takes... Oh, you don't have a queen. Okay. But you go here, king takes, bishop takes here, you're taking on here, so you have to run up. Okay, this is just yeah, I mean, this is... so you can still come here, but... okay, so you have all the pieces in the world, so apparently something like this is checkmate. Okay, and then so the other interesting idea is what if he goes rook takes, and you kind of you bring him out of his rabbit hole, as it were, and pawn e6 is actually checkmate. So that's actually very nice. The knight covers both those squares. So yeah, you could go straight in for the fast queen at f8 is the point. Sleipnir says, I don't like this bishop at b6 that he's been playing. Yes, I mean, I would analyse it in the stream, but I'm trying to avoid analysing openings in live matches, so that's my reason for not doing that. So in this game we have a much more, this is the old main line. I mean, this is what people used to play. You know, bishop c4, bishop c5, sack the queen. I don't play e4, e5 myself, but I saw this is what people used to play a lot in e4, e5 2 years ago, before bishop c5 went more out of favour. So Sleipnir says, I feel like it is too slow. The bishop b6. Yes, indeed. I mean, the main line I know in that is you when the knight is attacked, you move it out, and you lose this pawn, but then you get some counterplay on e2. That's the one. That's the one I'm more familiar with. But like I said, I don't play this as either white or black. So black has sacked a queen in this position, but he does have... Whoa. Okay, so if we take it, white has a lot of knights. But, okay, if we back off, knight check. So we have to try and check to 2 knights, what can he do? And the problem here is that the second rank here is very weak. f7, e7. So the knights could be dangerous. You can think of, for example, a knight on e7 could cover g6, these sorts of ideas. Okay. Oh, TheBayArea is just going for the kill here. He thinks with 2 knights, a bishop and a pawn he has mate. I think... I'm not sure that he does. But he does have this knight coming in as well, if ever the king goes to one of these 2 squares. So it is interesting. He wants a bishop on this square. Yeah, this is quite tough. So I'd maybe try here, maybe, and then run this way. That's what I'd try. So, because here, if he does bishop there, that blocks the knight coming in, and if he does bishop here, try and avoid that knight check. Pawn there, here, knight here unfortunately controls here. If you go here, okay, I think you're getting mated with the 2 knights, aren't you? Or are you? Another knight here and then a pawn here mates. So this sort of construction with knights here and a pawn here feels like it will mate. And if you come towards that knight, then a second knight defends that knight, and then you can never go here because we've got bishop there. So anyway, he's allowed this knight to come in. So going to one of these 2 dark squares is a bad idea. He's just given white an extra piece for his attack. So he wants to slide here. It's not going to work because... So why is it not going to work? Maybe it is going to work. No, I'm pretty sure it's not going to work. Bishop here might be important though. And then I'm wondering if we have enough. Yeah, maybe it's not. So not bishop here. Obviously go bishop here and then take whatever's... Bishop here, take whatever he blocks with to pick up extra material. Okay, so amazingly black is slipping away here. Something seriously went wrong. Knight here felt stronger, by the way, than knight here. Just controls more squares. And bishop here. And you're controlling a lot of squares with the bishop here and Yeah, so it's a pity he missed that construction. Okay, but why didn't he just slip away? Knight here, slips here. Second knight here might have been an issue. Takes. I don't know. I thought he was getting away just by going king f8. Now this looks dangerous to me. Yeah, knight f5, and now just get you. He just needs a few more pawns, but maybe he doesn't have them. Okay, what went wrong here? Knight here feels correct, but why not use the existing knight? Maybe. Yeah, that was the problem. Not using this knight to come in. Ah, and then you have another knight here if he ever steps back. So again, I feel like... Okay, so he's just going for bishop here, checkmate, but is he going to get mated himself? Interesting. So actually the pawn checks are quite well covered, but the knight check is not. Okay, that's a very... That feels like it's not going to work. This is a hole. So it's not going to work. I mean, it's... I'm not calculating it, but let's see. 18 seconds to calculate. It is a tough calculation, but there are too many holes in black's position. I think he should have gone for a mate of some kind. Like bishop takes, knight takes, and knight f3 is what I was wondering. So I feel like a lot of mistakes were made. Oh my goodness. Two queens, so you could sack a queen. Oh yeah, black's got two queens, amazing. So queen e2, knight f4. Oh, that's a really good point. That's a really good point. But he's just walked into huge trouble here. Oh, this is a sad game. I'm sorry. So this is all very nice. Okay, so first in this position, was the queen sack justified? So black apparently can get away. Yeah, so it is tough, but he can get away. Takes, king takes was correct. This, then. So yeah, I think, as I said, I think king e6. I was thinking of this line, and then stepping back to f7, e6 check. Okay, so white's just running out of pawns actually in this position apparently. So king to g8. I was thinking go with a knight check here, and so another knight here would be checkmate. But then king f8. Okay, and then I was thinking knight, maybe knight g6 check, try and get a draw. But apparently king e8. And yeah, on e8 there are no knight checks. So that's the first issue. I'm sorry that we're going to distract a bit from the live game because there are a lot of issues here. Then in this position, apparently black is fine. But he must go king c8. There's really nothing. Knight e7, king here, knight at c6, takes, and king b7, and white just doesn't have enough to continue the attack. By going here, yeah, knight e7 is an issue. It's actually not only an issue, it's mating, but he needs to find knight d5. So then when he goes to a6, there's knight takes c7, for example, even. A new knight at d5, and presumably push these pawns. Maybe use new pawns so that this square is still covered. So white missed that knight d5 move. Okay. Having not found knight d5, suddenly black is winning again, and black has to go for an attack. I was thinking takes. Oh, so takes, and then the queen at e2 idea is really strong. That Sleipnir mentioned in chat. Knight d4. at g2 takes at f3. So why does that work stronger than going queen here directly? Because you're opening up this square. If you do it this way around, knight f4, he's able to slip away, and this square is covered. Whereas and okay, so the idea I was thinking here was knight takes, and knight at f3, and apparently that also is mating. But queen at e2, noticing we have two queens is even nicer. Knight at d4, and we don't have this now because the queen swings across, and it's checkmate. So that was a mismate from black. Now, having done this, now I'm sure that white should have a mate here, with bishop at b5 takes, and I want knight takes e6, knight takes d6 rather. But apparently black is still fine on this square here. So even though you've got at a6, king here, knight here, king to b8, white is a pawn short of mate, and black is fine. Okay, so that's amazing. He was fine. And then this final position, this apparently is drawn because white is takes, knight d5, king takes. No, it's not drawn. There is a mate, but it's a long, complicated mate. So yeah, so it was a mate in 17 or something in the position where white flagged. So white did have mate in that final position. Okay, that was a crazy game, but I think it was worth just having a quick look at it. So so I hope you can forgive me from looking away from the live game. And we're seeing this line again. Like, when you're losing every game this line, why are you playing the same things? Okay, but it's white instead who changes stuff up, surprisingly. And takes. Kind of, if black gets a breather, there he does have some dangerous ideas. If he gets a breather, that is. I mean, he's got a knight. Well, yeah, he had bishop takes knight. Okay. I don't know. I feel this is dangerous for white, actually. Like, the attack is somewhat. But black has to attack smartly here. Just pawned. Oh, yeah, knight here, pawn. No, it doesn't quite work. Okay, it picks up a nice piece. That's nice. And at h3 to follow. It's not too shabby. It's not too shabby in attack. Oh, and this is a disaster. Unless this is mating, this is a disaster for white. Because at h3 is incredibly strong. Unless there's like a forcing attack. But bishop takes knight, pawn takes, queen here, block, and queen takes. And it could well be a forcing attack. Yeah, then you have a knight to finish. I think that might be mate. So maybe rook takes is important. Yeah, I think that's it. And that guards the knight checks. I think that might be it. And then suddenly I think eflc, who by the way is 5-1 up in this match, so this is to win. Oh, I completely missed this. That was terrible of me. Terrible of me to miss this. So queen here. The problem is queen here. You can't deflecting the rook. If you let that queen in, it's pawn and promote, and it's all over. Oh my goodness, and you can't take it because it opens up the rank. And you can't go here, well this is mate. Oh my goodness. So that was a beautiful attack found by eflc. About last game, Slackner says, my queen at e2 is a complete guess with a bit of gut instinct. Yeah, so in fact, yeah, bishop takes f2 and then queen at e2 was absolutely lethal. And it's just like you need some check, and queen at e2 is a check. So black resigns. And that's it. That's the game over. eflc, surprisingly, by a surprising margin, 6 games to 1. And Legion Destroyer in the chat said knight c8 is an idea. Very nice idea indeed. I was just thinking white was dead here. And the line I was thinking about was, what about this? and I was mistakenly looking at this line and knight here, but of course you don't block with the pawn in these situations. This is one of those classic situations where you block with the queen and suddenly you don't have this attack. So takes, and actually, oh no, if you take like this, knight at c8 is a similar distraction idea with queen at e7 to follow. So that's just lethal. If this, I'm slightly confused. Oh, of course you can't do here. The rook defends this. Oh, you do another distraction. Okay, you do another distraction. Okay, this is just crazy beautiful. And if the king comes here, then you have queen here, checkmate. Okay, this is really beautiful. So this position, white to mate in 3, this is such a sort of thematic example of distracting the defender. So you go for this, but you don't. This would be checkmate. So you can't do that, but you say this, the rook defends it, and you distract the defender again. And so then he goes here, and then this is mate. Okay, so that's crazy beautiful. So I made a mistake. If queen at f7, queen takes queen, king takes queen is apparently better for black. So that's why queen at g7 is not the winning move in this position, and it's again this knight at c8 idea. Okay, so what actually happened in the game was rook takes, and knight at c8 is a winning idea, but the knight here is also a winning idea. King f7, queen e7, king g6 apparently makes the game go on a little bit longer, because that way he's not taking the rook with check, so the game goes on. But the way it happened, this one, if you go here, we've got the classic Arabian mate, and if you take, then we have two majors on the back rank, and that's not going to end happily. Okay, so congratulations to eflc, and as Legion Destroyer said, there's king g6 at the end of that line instead of just to show that again. So the beauty of knight c8 is again we're threatening. So if here, so obviously if you take it, if knight c8 you don't do queen e7 but knight g5. Okay, so queen d7 would be mate in 1 if you take it, but if you don't take it, you have knight g5. Okay, so if the king steps back, we have this takes, and it's going to be a nightmare. If the king steps back to here, we have at h7 or queen at h7, king f8. The thing to recognize about this position is it's a back rank situation. I think that's the thing to recognize. So I was thinking of doing this, but then we lose our control of this square, so that doesn't quite work. But yeah, it's still, we have all these squares controlled. This is the point of the situation. So yeah, we find a back rank mate. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed the commentary. Oh, hi there, Clearcast Chess, saw knight at c8. Okay, brilliant. Sorry I only saw that just now. And Sleipnir says, impressive. Impressive performance from eflc, coming back, in fact, from losing the first game to win 6 in a row and to take the match. Congratulations, he proceeds to round 2. Catch you next time.